Hello, hello, hello. It's Friday, and welcome to
Hi.
another exciting episode of No Particular Reason. And we have a surprise
Yes.
for you today.
Let's go.
All
Not
right.
not.
Might have
This is not
noticed
the blonde hair.
we exactly. Kerri has transformed to Nana today.
Yeah, her turned a little red. Glasses are now yellow, and then we got the whole heart outfit. So this is exciting.
This is
How are
exciting
you?
as well. And without even knowing, we managed to match colors and all. So this is going to be an exciting episode.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys got me for a bit. The actual co-host is driving me right now and treating me well, so I get to play chauffeur right now. I mean, what is it? Passenger princess? That's how you
Yes,
play?
you're the
Yeah.
passenger princess.
So I'm excited. I'm excited. How are you,
Well,
Yanko?
I'm very excited. We've been talking about of having you in the hot seat in the show, and now that dream come true. So here you are. Last time, last
I
time
was at
you've
the gym.
joined us. Yes, last
Yeah.
time you've joined us, and it was kind of impromptu, but
Yeah.
hopefully you stick around today, and we'll get to question you and get some insight on your view of the world and all those wonderful things.
So the cool thing is, I'll be on here for about like 4 minutes. However, then I'll pass it over to the actual co-host. She literally is the go. She's literally en route driving me to the con. That's what I'm heading to.
So
Which I'm
Nana is
super excited.
dressed as Goku. I spent 2+ hours painting his upper
Correct.
body pink and then
It's unbelievable.
putting what is it? I
I
don't know,
know.
some type of insane thing on to keep it from
Setting powder.
peeling.
Setting powder. That's what it is.
So that happens.
Mm.
Yeah.
And now we're in
Well,
Boston trying to find the place because the GPS sent us the wrong way after I Googled the correct area. So I'm like, come on, GPS. But this is all part of life. I guess it's not scripted, so it makes it that much more exciting when it does happen.
You should totally
exactly.
take you should take off your coat and show the listening audience.
Y'all want to see what's underneath here?
Yeah, well,
It's
they definitely want to see your
it's
pack.
it's it's pink. It's actually
Ooh,
not
that's
bad.
probably going to make some people that are listening to
Yeah.
actually join in the video and check it
Yo,
out.
y'all are wild. Y'all are wild. No, it's there. I mean, thankfully it's still stuck on, which is the cool part.
It
So
better have.
yeah,
Do you know what I had to do to keep this
yeah.
man from staying yeah,
Well,
getting rid of all his paint?
the beauty of life, isn't it? You guys
Yeah.
get to do things together and get excited about things like that. This is wonderful,
I,
man.
well, my thing is like I just try to enjoy the moment. And this weekend, I mean, this week has been Kerri's birthday, so I've been kind of like doing that, which has been awesome, just to kind of catch up with her. So we're heading to a hotel, and she's gonna enjoy her time off, and I'm gonna be at the con, catching up with friends of mine. So we're still enjoying each other's company, but just doing it in different avenues, basically.
That's right. And for
Hmm.
those that haven't been in Kerri's other show, that's with Nana, that
Ooh, the Bright Side
they have
Chronicles.
a yeah. There you go, the Bright Side Chronicle. We're gonna put a plug in there. It's all about
Appreciate you.
comics, and you tell our audience what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically about what brings somebody a sense of joy and things of that nature, and like just talking about just happiness in general. So that's the biggest thing.
Exactly.
But
So did you guys you probably should do one of those impromptu from one of those cons with everybody and kind of like your lies, but with Kerri and Heather participate in one of those.
you never know. You never know. That might be a thing. That might be a thing.
I know I've seen her briefly in one of the parties when she was dressed in like I don't know, kind of like a fighter outfit. It
Chun Li,
remind me,
yes, Chun Li,
yes,
Chun Li.
yeah, and that was very nice. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He thought I was gonna do that today, and
No,
I
no, you
said
ain't
not
got it. You ain't
today,
got it.
bro.
You ain't got it.
Give
Oh,
me a kiss.
Yep. But
Hey,
Yanko,
hey, you have sugar all over your
oh
face.
gosh,
Do you want to get
Yanko,
that
I
off?
am going to head out because I'm gonna walk to the con, and then I will see y'all's later.
Bye. Hi, guys.
Hopefully.
Welcome for no particular reason. I'm going to attempt to illegally park in Boston so we can actually finish the show. As soon as I kick my guy out. Are you wearing a coat?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. You guys are gonna get a glimpse of Nana's pink in a minute because I'm a put him on blast.
This shit's all over everywhere. Like.
Okay, let's see.
Do it. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, look at it. And it's saved though.
Yeah,
I gotta give myself credit because that was a work.
Yes,
that was work.
It was. I mean, it still is, like, regardless. But yes. So we are.
So who are you, babe?
I am Goku from Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan 4, the newer version, not the old version. So I am excited to be a part of this event today. So that's what I'm headed to right now. I will holler at y'all later. But I love you, babe. And
all right, well, have fun. Thanks for sticking around.
I will. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to my life.
What a opening for episode 64, huh?
I know. And now I gotta find some place to park so that I'm not driving with a phone on me.
Sure. Yeah. Take your time. And then I'm gonna torture you.
So I do want to. I think I found a place, but I have to. I'm gonna do this. You're gonna have to wait. Hang on, people.
This is real life, people.
This is real life. This is Kerri parking in Boston, by the way, which is always
in real life.
In real life, you right about that. Try not to hit a pole too. Oh, I think I got it, Yanko. I'm doing good.
Ooh, the universe, it's helping us today, huh?
Well, listen, I have to tell you, I learned how to drive on a 1987 GMC Suburban, which for anybody who doesn't know is like a bus. So
yeah, it's pretty big.
I definitely know how to fit it in there, as they would say. Anyway, okay, I'm totally inappropriate right now, but that's just Kerri. All right, I'm parked, so I'm not totally unsafe and being reckless, which I'm reckless anyway. But how are you, Yanko?
I'm super excited to vibe with you on this wonderful Friday. You know, I couldn't wait. I know you had a wonderful week in with the birthday, the party, and everything. So, and now you guys are doing the con, and probably the weekend it's gonna be a kind of chill and relax and kind of recover from partying.
I got my candle. I got my coloring book, and I am going to be experiencing a lot of peace and joy for sure. I have no complaints. And yeah, my birthday was good. I had a massage. It was a really good time.
Well, we're gonna, and that could be a good topic to talk about, like how some people are comfortable for being with themselves and just kind of, do what you're gonna do and detach from the world and just kind of be in peace.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really truly think that for one to learn themselves, you've got to be able to take time to get to know yourself outside the noise. And you and I have talked extensively about going and living in a cave. I don't know that that's required to learn yourself, but I do think that there's just an exorbitant amount of noise in our ears all the time. And so the way in which we're able to identify what feels really supportive and nurturing and right for our individual selves is to take time by ourselves. And I love going on weekend getaways, just hanging out by myself with no expectations, no duties to do as a mom. It's really important to me.
That's right. And I think
Good morning,
it's
Gail.
okay. I
Come
just
join the
highlighted
party.
her. That's why I was gonna
Yeah.
ask her if she has time and wants to join us. We'll send her the link. But
yeah, I'm gonna get out and pay the meter in a minute too, so that way I don't get a ticket because the guy behind me already has a ticket on his windshield. Um, but yeah, it's so interesting because yesterday on our show we had some we she's coming on. Sweet, good, because then when you come on, I'm gonna jump out the car real quick and pay for my parking. Um, we were talking about how with Calvin Mann how noise really impacts the youth of today and how there's just this constant striving to look good or meet some superficial non-real standard that is portrayed on social media. And so yeah, it's important for me to get quiet time.
That's right. I mean, I'm seeing that myself. In you know, having some time by myself, it's always good for me. Um, I don't always get to have a lot of time by myself. We can sit and reflect, but when you have moments like that, you take opportunity, you take that moment, and you take the opportunity, and you go with that. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, you are raising a little one, which takes a lot more effort. My daughters are pretty self-sufficient, and I'm very grateful for that because I like to play a lot. So,
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I gotta give credit to my wife because without her, that could be impossible. Honestly, she does a lot of the heavy lifting. So if she's watching, I'm giving her a shout out.
hi, wifey. I'm shouting you out too because I know what it's like to be a mama, and it is not for the faint of heart. So keep being your amazing self.
That's right.
And
So
we have Gail on who's coming in black.
she'll,
What?
she'll come in.
What?
I
What? What?
we can hear you. We just can't see you.
No, no picture.
Wow. Oh, I know why. I'll be back. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
But
So
see, this episode, this episode, it's already unfolding in a different ways. It's I kind of had a feeling. I don't know if I predicted the future, but this morning when I get up, I was like, we're probably gonna have Gail today on the show. I just kind of knew.
you
Wh-
manifested her.
Yeah, which is happening now.
Well, the irony is I kind of felt that too because it's like 8 o'clock. Nana and I were supposed to be on the road at 6 this morning, and so he shows up in my house at almost 7, and I had to do his makeup, and I'm like, all right, well, that's gonna take at least an hour, which then took two. So I'm like, I wonder if I should hit up Gail to see if she can co-host because I don't know if I'm gonna make the show. And then, sure enough, we both manifested Gail. And while you're here, I'm gonna jump out and pay my toll, guys. So I'll be
I'm
right back.
easy to manifest.
That's because we're super connected.
Because you're on flow. You're
I
just
am in
like
flow. Oh my God, I'm
if
so in
if
flow.
flow pulls you and you just go. I
Yeah.
was thinking about that the other day. I was watching a chat with somebody trying to understand what it is to, um, be in a flow and struggling with the idea of not having a goal or something like that. You know, and that made me think that I've been there, thinking that, oh, you gotta go have goals and follow this and that, and go, and when you're on flow, you're just in flow. Like the universe brings you everything you need to when you need it to, and so it's a lot more easier way to live and just be. Like you don't have to struggle and think of this and that and have this like internal conflict. But that person was really struggling and saying, explain to me why are people preaching this, or why is this like, how can one operate and and that's the other thing when you think about ego, and how the ego takes a lot of energy out of you and everything else. and it's just interesting. In people have the totally wrong idea. They think like if they lose their identity, it's the scary thing, and they're just gonna become like a zombie, and they're not gonna be able to, move through life. And then at that moment, I had this knowing that you can try not to do anything, but you're in this world. The world will move you. You can, even if you lose your identity, you're just gonna be in flow. Like if the world is moving, if weather changes, birds are coming, something's gonna move you, and you're gonna move. So it doesn't have to be moving from an ego side.
Well, control is a fear response,
Oh yeah.
right? And so, I guys, you're talking to someone type A personality project manager, you talk about control. I controlled every moment of my life. And what happens is the universe says, "You think you're in control? Ha,
I'm
here's
gonna
a
show you.
surprise. Here's a surprise, right?
Yeah,
Deal with that, control freak, right?"
yeah.
Um, and so what I've learned is I don't not have a plan. I just have a broad stroke vision, and how I get there is, I mean, that's just what I see. I know that's where I'm going. How I go there changes day by day. And I'll give you a perfect example. So I know for sure I'm going on the road early June because I'm going to a celebration of life in Colorado. So I know I'm driving to Colorado because I don't want to be there without a car. I may continue on to California because I have a sister who has tested positive with cancer and is going to need help. However, I don't know when her treatment's going to be. I don't know when it, so I might be coming back and then going back out later. And so I'm like, whatever matters, the things that I need in order to do my business and communicate with people is a computer and a connection. That's all I need. And what comes up is what I will respond to. That's
That's
flow,
great. Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll be where I need to be when I need to be there, and no sooner and no later.
Which
And
is
do
why
what you
I'm
need to do.
taking this call from a car because I chose to be there for my baby so that he could partake in what is really important to him. And now I'm here with you, lovelies. And then I'm gonna take my beautiful ass all the way to Braintree so I can hang out and work from a boudoir photography studio. So I love it.
Oh, you're
But I
going to
do.
boudoir. Yay.
Well, yeah, I'm going to Lindsay's. I'm
Say
working
hi to
from her
Lindsay.
place today.
Hmm.
Um, so I want to talk to you. So yesterday we had the Bright Side Chronicles, and I was talking to this brilliant person who is a real gift to my life. But something that really struck me is this individual was all about statistics and naming off all of like the division and so one, the Bright Side
Now,
Chronicles is
now,
all
now
about
I gotta
joy.
hit. I'll be right back. Continue on. I gotta go fetch me some glasses too.
Oh, you're so funny. Well, no, the Bright Side Chronicles is all about joy. So I really kind of worked to shift the focus around joy. But it was just interesting to see how, for me, following statistics or really drilling down on narratives that are pervasive right now, um, can really take me out of flow. I think it makes us want to control or come up with a plan or, you know, label the experience that we are going through good, bad, right, wrong, all of that stuff. You know what I mean? And so I found the show very fascinating and I kept having to bring the conversation back to joy because I don't know, it just felt more like it was being controlled rather than in flow for sure.
So I used to implement KPIs, Kaplan Norton Balanced Scorecard, in corporations. I did. I can do all of this stuff.
I
And what
can too.
happens, right? Um, in an organization that works from fear, They drill down and they drill down and they drill down and they really drive by the statistics, no matter what's going on. So they're blind to what's going on with their employees, with their customers in the world.
100%.
They're
Yep.
100% blind, and they think they're right, and they are in their world until their business collapses. Okay, and then they
Yeah.
wonder why. KPIs or statistics can be a guideline, but not a god. Right? We got to be careful that the only god is us, and that's joy.
100%. Well,
Right?
that's
Everything else is
why.
just information.
Exactly. And everything else is just an external, which is a perspective from an external source, which is, I mean, yeah, we are collective, but it's everything comes from another individual's take on the experience that they are in, and then we are putting it out into the world and taking it as a law. But I
Right?
mean, it also said, I mean, it speaks to the fact that the mind is a wonderful tool, but if you're a slave to it, you totally disconnect from flow in the first place.
Yes. And what's interesting, Kerri, when I was in corporate as a leader and had teams to manage, and I use air quotes to manage because I didn't manage the teams. My teams were in flow, and I didn't realize that I was in flow, but I just followed my instinct. And my focus was not on outcome, was not on stats. My focus was on, does my team have what they need? Is someone having a problem I need to address, personal or business? Is there something I need to do to get in their way so they can do their job? What do I need to do to serve my team? That's flow. I didn't matter. They mattered. And I always had the team, no matter what company I was in, everyone wanted. And I always had the team that some manager would call and say, I can't deal with so and so. Will you take him or her? And I'd be, yeah, bring them on. And they'd be fine with me. Why? Because I addressed their needs. They knew exactly what I expected from them, no questions asked, and I gave them the support they needed to do what they had to do. Simple. Simple. No KPI. And whatever goals, and I use air quotes because again, I never looked at them. We always met them because we just did what we had to do. One of my favorite stories that I tell when I'm presenting um, about crafting the flow formula is about I had a team that needed to be creative. Now you're in corporate, creative. Are you kidding me? Really? So what did I do? We would meet once a month. I'd get a conference room. I'd have food brought in, and we would play games. We would play games and laugh so hard. We were snort laughing. We were on the ground laughing. We were peeing our pants laughing. Then I would put a recorder on, and we would start to brainstorm because I got everyone's energy right up there. Their vibration was as high as I could get it. I didn't know that I was doing this. I just knew this is how I got results from my team. And it was beautiful. We came up with some of the most, and we would be there. I can remember one time one woman was banging the table, going, "Wait, wait, wait, wait! What did you just say?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We're recording it." Okay, well, what I want to,
Say that again.
right? I mean, because it was just we were in flow. We were connected. We were connected. It was beautiful. That's flow. So yes, flow has a place in corporate if ego can get out of the way.
Well, that's, I
Mm.
mean, that lies in authenticity and allowing
Yeah.
the present moment to unfold the way it feels right for us rather than how we think it is going to look to another individual. And I really believe that's what prevents so many brilliant ideas from coming to fruition is not that people don't have them. We are creative beings by nature. It's
Mhm.
just that we're so concerned with the good opinion of another individual that we refrain from fully expressing ourselves. And you know that actually is a shame because I truly believe everybody has gifts to offer. And even going back to the individual who yesterday was on our show, right? The work that they are doing is incredible. I mean, creating handwriting books that to teach people cursive, but everything that they're learning in cursive is affirmations. I am worthy of my own love, right? So even in that space of statistics and needing to control, there's that creative energy, and it is everything does come from love. Like I said this yesterday, is I have worked with individuals who have been at the lowest of lows, seeped in addiction, and they still come from love. They will still extend themselves to others in the way that they can, because that is our natural inclination to do and be loving, and so it's so interesting. I love when I'm with people who are unfiltered, because what unfolds, you can't plan on your best day of your entire life in ego.
No, and in order for people to feel safe, right? That's to me, that is a key element of allowing people to express themselves, right?
100%.
Means that they have to feel like they have permission to look like an idiot, to screw up, and to fail, right? Without being judged. And, I'd look back and I had some amazing gifts as far as leadership is concerned, because I screwed up royally one time in a huge organization. And this is the one I ended up on the board of directors. And my boss came up to me and said, "Well, we messed that one up. What's next?" And I'm like, I can fail here.
Yeah.
I can fail? Holy shit. I then went 1000% forward because I was not afraid to fail. All of my creativity, my intuition, all of that came out because I had permission.
Well, and also that, I mean, I think that is where people get hung up now. So many people are punished for not doing a good enough job, which blows my mind, because at the
Right.
end of the day, we're all exactly where we're meant to be. And even if we quote unquote miss the mark, we've learned from that experience. And it's so very important that we do create a place for people to feel safe. Yesterday, I did a live, and I had at least 3, if not 5 people this week continuously try to discuss with me either their past traumas and or whether they should be labeled with this and this. And I am not interested in locating, identifying what your perceived shortcomings are. I'm interested in identifying your strengths, your gifts, how we can capitalize on the very essence of you that lies right now in who you are. Because if I can tap you in that space and give you permission to give yourself permission to claim it, you've just healed so much without having to dredge up your past or figure out what's wrong with you. I think so often we're looking for the cause or a label or a reason. And my contention is, no, let's look at all of the amazing things that you have to offer right now, even in heroin addiction, even in deep depression. And it's in witnessing and recognizing our gifts that we start to shift momentum, shift our energetic experience, and move toward a more loving, gentle, compassionate experience for ourselves, which by extension it extends to other people as well.
Yeah, I think joy is the highest frequency we've measured so far, right? And that is joy and love is God. That's the godly state. And when we're able to get there, I can't express what it feels like,
Yeah,
because
you
it
can't.
you,
I tell people that you can't.
you just can't, because it's just so delicious, right? I mean, I just, and the experience is, my dragon rider. I've stepped forward and owned that now, Kerri. I've been a dragon rider for over almost 15 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. And I've not really owned that experience. And this year, I I weekly do dragon card readings. I daily communicate with the dragons. It's phenomenal. And you want to talk about the feeling of love and compassion and caring and protection. And those are all of the things that as children we're looking for.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
it's so interesting you say, joy. It's why I can get up at 5 in the morning and spend hours putting on body paint on Nana, because I mean, his excitement in just the whole process of transmuting his body into a cosplay character brings so much joy to me that I want to do the work for him. And I was even thinking to myself today, I'm like, how is it I end up in these positions of putting together costumes and stuff for a niche that I don't really like follow, and it is because just bearing witness to his excitement elevates my energy and gets me excited to take on whatever it is that I'm going to partake in after he's ready and gone off to go play with his friends. You know what I mean? And I love it. I love it so so much. It's a real gift.
I
I'm
was gonna
curious.
say,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Yanko.
I was gonna say, it probably comes down to um, being trained to focus on the negative all the time, or um, or that fear of the unknown that we're talking about earlier with Gail. And so a lot of people by default are just looking for anything negative, and they keep going in loops with whatever negative programming they have, instead of focusing on the positive things in life, or focusing in the positive things a person brings. In Say you meet somebody new, you don't know that person, and you start looking for the negatives right away, right off the bat, to like, is he going to be like a safe fit or whatever, or whatever you're thinking with your thinking mind, versus of like, what how is this person fits in life, and what does he bring, like how is he making life so much more different, because everyone is unique, everyone he has their own personality and everything, and that's why we're all here. If there's no need for second of me or second Kerri or Gal, we're all unique, and we're
I
bringing
don't
our
know if
own.
the world could handle another Kerri. That'd be a lot.
It would cause
I
a
mean,
cosmic shift for sure.
what's that? Yeah, that would be, I mean, that'd be super cool. I would be like, whoa. No, but
Second Kerri. But
yeah,
this comes back to what you were saying earlier, that people talk to you about their conditions, and whatever stories they made up on their mind, like, oh, I have this and that, and you're basically shifting their focus from the negative to the positive, and kind of saying, come over here, forget about all
yeah.
that stuff, like, come sit here and see what's up.
You
But
know,
So
it's
when
so interesting to see how attached people are to those stories, to that label. Oh, but you don't know. Oh,
oh,
but
of course, yeah.
and I'm like, no, I do know. I promise you, I really, really do know. I lived that experience for a really long time, but the only way in which to shift out of it is to focus on. And here's the thing I love. Whenever people tell me, and I hear this constantly, I'm trying. No, you're not trying. You're doing. You're on the phone with me. You're curious. You're at least aware that the experience you're having isn't one that you want to continue to have. So even in just those little, seemingly little The moments you're not trying, you're doing. And so it is really changing the language and how we see, the moment by moment.
Language is the key. Yes.
Language is the key.
Yeah.
And it gets back to the beginning where Yanko was talking about people identifying the identity, right? They don't know who they are if they're not a fearful father or a fearful,
Yeah.
employee, right? They
That
don't,
feel comfortable. Yeah. They
right,
know, and yeah.
right. And they make
Well, it's
decisions by fear, and each choice. So, and fear will breed more fear, right? Because it's like a
100%.
magnet, you're bringing it on, right? I was working with a client this week, and we were talking about um, her feeling of unworthiness, right? And so she's got some exercises to see her essence, to see her worth. And I said, listen, right now you're a magnet of unworthiness. And so people are coming to you, and that's confirming that you're unworthy because you're a magnet.
100%.
You're a
Yep.
magnet. I said, we are demagnetizing you so that that doesn't happen anymore. So she said, so a block will go up. I said, no, you will no longer draw that to you because we are
Yep.
demagnetizing. We're creating a different magnetic field around you, right? And it is with language. She has to tell herself how much she loves herself in the mirror until it's uncomfortable, and then she has to continue.
Well, you know what though? Here's the thing. This is what I want the listening audience to know. You can shift your energy from like that unworthiness to worthiness in a second, and you'll know because like you can go from, you know, being around people that feel mixed to like, okay, really being present with the narrative in your mind, making a different choice, walking down the street and somebody starts smiling at you or pays for your coffee. I think so often people are afraid to do this work, or they make up this story that it's going to take forever. It doesn't have to take forever. Now, does it take conscious awareness? Of course, right? You have to,
Right.
because if you're used to thinking negatively, you're most likely going to default to that negative thinking. But the moment you catch yourself with that loop and you shift out of it, well, you've neutralized the negative energy, and now you're attracting a different energy. And so I really encourage people to understand, like, you don't have to wait years to feel
No.
free from suffering. You can feel free from suffering in this moment. And I was telling a client recently, they were telling me, oh, I need to go through this experience and this experience to feel calm. I was like, well, if you practice self-care, do you feel peace? Yes. Well, you don't have to do anything else. You've just achieved the very thing you're looking to get to. So why keep doing more self-care if you've already gotten to where you want to be? you've you've
Life
tapped
it's
into it in this
so,
moment.
yeah, life it's so easy if you surrender, you know.
Oh, my favorite.
If you surrender, life becomes wonderful.
Well, that's what
And,
flow is,
and
right?
I know, and you have times where you're thinking like, what's going on here? It just works. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to struggle with anything.
No.
But another point I wanted to bring up, you can repeat in your head as much as you want, but until you feel it, you're not gonna change.
Right.
You know,
100%.
until you gotta shift the feeling, and maybe if you're not even aware of like what's going on, you can touch back and check with the body. How does the body feel? Because the body usually will give you a feedback. You
Oh,
know, when
100%.
you're angry, you automatically frown because the body responds to that anger inside. Yeah. So,
Well,
if
you
you're
know
in a
what though,
situation, yeah, go ahead.
to what Gail was saying though, right? Just say her clients in that mirror and it does feel uncomfortable. Well, that's information too. It really
Hmm.
is, because it's
Yeah.
giving you
That
evidence
gives you the
that
feeling.
giving you, but like saying that you're worthy, you're feeling resistance to. And well, in that moment, there are things that we all, even in my lowest of lows, when I struggle with addiction and stuff, there were things I loved about myself. And so when I got that resistance and I'm like, oh, well, that feels like crap, I focused. I love my feet, right? I have really pretty toes, guys. I'm just saying, I really do. So I focus on the things I like. Oh, I love my feet. I love my eyes. and so it started to release that resistance. Well, if I can love my feet and my eyes, then maybe I can love my hands or whatever. And so yes, to your point, Yanko, it's a feeling, but to what Gail was saying, it's important too, because that resistance is information that you can then make a different choice with. And so it's all perfection. It's just, what is it you're taking away from the experience you're having? And lastly, I want to touch upon what you were saying, Gail, about not knowing yourself. It kind of goes full circle to the beginning of this conversation when Yanko and I were talking about the fact that I'm about to spend 2 days in a hotel room in a bathtub with a candle and my coloring book of skulls, and I'm very, very happy about this. Being alone. How do you know yourself if you're not comfortable getting alone, being alone,
With
and
yourself.
learning what feels really good to you?
Absolutely. I love my alone time. And I was reflecting on this actually this past week about how comfortable I've always been with being alone. And I realized that I was raised alone. I was raised alone. I was a latchkey kid, right? So spent a lot of time in my entire life being alone and reflecting, which is probably why I had some strange experiences as a child, because of unguided reflection will bring you to very strange but beautiful places. So, what I've learned about myself is that I'm not alone when I'm alone.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that you said that.
We're never alone, but the first steps, the journey starts with the first step.
Yeah.
You gotta get that time and connect and realize that you're not a separate being.
Oh,
You're one with everything.
yeah. Yeah. And things like dragons. So I've been doing research into dragons, unicorns, angels, you know, um, witches, and because they exist in all the cultures around the world, long before there was communication as we know it.
Right,
So if all of the cultures around the world have images of witches, have images of dragons, have images of unicorns, have images of angels, they have to exist at a vibrational level that our eyes don't see.
right.
But some people are able to tap into seeing them with their third eye, or their eyes are clear enough that they can see 3% instead of 2% of what is really out there. So if that's the case, they exist at some level because they're documented in history in all these cultures, then I can tap into them. And I'll tell you a story of a friend who ran a prayer group for LA after the fires they had. And we formed a circle, a meditation circle, to bring the animals that died to ease their suffering and help them transition. And
Yeah,
as
have
we were,
them
it was beautiful.
orientate. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, there
This,
were
this
rats,
is
there
this
were
is
snakes.
this is actually something good. Yeah.
Yeah. So while we're
Good.
there, the leader said, and the dragons are here helping us. And I'm thinking, of course I'm here. The dragons are here because I'm here,
Why not? Yeah.
right? Right.
Yeah.
So, so how can that be? And you can answer it any way you want. People can judge any way they want. They can make any story up that they want. This has become my reality, and it's been, as Kerri says, joyful. It's been a beautiful experience, and why not?
Well, that's what I love, right? So first off, to the listening audience, anybody watching, I'm here. I'm just off camera because I need to drive, because homegirl has had 2 coffees, 2 kids, and needs to pee. So I'm getting to my destination. And two,
A little too much
um,
detail, scary,
no,
but
but what
okay.
you
Well,
were
please put yourself on mute if you go into the ladies' room.
listen. First off, there is never any in my world. There is never TMI. So if it's too much, you don't have to listen. But I'm not gonna, be quiet. And secondly, everybody pees. So, but what I would say is, Gail, what I love is you're doing what feels right for you. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. Like who who cares? Like that's where I really do just laugh at this whole um ideology of, well, if you identify as this, you need to be this or that. I don't, what do I care? Are you happy? You're happy? Great.
Yep.
Because in your happiness, you're extending happiness, which by extension offers it to me, and that's a gift. Why would I want anything more than that? Whether or not I tap into the philosophy of dragons or witches or whatever or not, it doesn't matter. If
Right.
that's what is your jam, great.
Yeah, and
I was
it's
gonna, I was gonna say, coming from a thinking, critical mindset, couple years back, and diving into this, what's happening now. How do you justify that kind of experiences when you like have the experience? And at the beginning, I was like, maybe I'm just imagining things or whatever, and you have that self doubt or whatever. Um, but then it comes to the point when it's becoming undeniable.
it's
If it quacks
undeniable.
like a duck and it walks like a duck, it must be a duck. And that was the conclusion I had to make. I mean, people say that, but I haven't tried it. I don't know. But if it happens to me and it's happening, and I have the experience, how can I deny it?
You know,
So
I work with people every Friday. As a group that we get together and we work with the dragons. And one woman came with her daughter. Her daughter's maybe 6, beautiful little girl. And at the end, the next day, I talked to her and she said, I want to tell you, first of all, the meditation you did, because I do a dragon meditation, was beautiful. She said, I used to be afraid of dragons. I thought you were crazy. And now, because I have people take the dragon and look into their eyes, this is their dragon that shows up, right? And connect like you would with a dog or a horse, right? Connect with this animal and pet the animal. And what does it feel like? Because it's not scaly, guys. It's not scales at all, right? And everyone's feels different because their dragon is different. It's their dragon. And then let's get on the dragon, right? What does it feel like when you mount the dragon, right? So we went through this particular dragon experience, and she said, I have to say, I look forward to dragons now. And my daughter loved your meditation, right? So, why look at these things that are fearful? And here's another thing we're talking about energy and magnets. So many people talking about protecting themselves from the negative. I'm not saying that there's not negative out there. I grew up with people who were fearful. Of course, I grew up with negativity, but my magnet doesn't attract negativity.
it gets to a point when you actually repel it. It doesn't, because
Yeah,
you're like so much that away that it doesn't vibrate with you,
yeah.
and it kind of sits on the side and kind of looks in. It's almost afraid of you. It becomes like
Well, I'll give you a dragon story. I had an
Please do.
image
I enjoy
of my
dragons.
right. I had
I
the image
haven't
of my
had any.
dragon,
I
and
haven't had any experiences with dragons, but continue on. I'll share another one. Go
okay,
ahead.
good. Okay, so I had this image of my dragon burning like these pillars, these black pillars coming towards me, and then burning them to cinders. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then 3 days later, I was pulling dragon cards for this group, and I get the dark blue dragon whose job is protection. And the way that the dragon protects you is by burning to cinder the negative energy up to a kilometer around you, over you, under your house, whatever that's the dragon's job. And like, how can we say it's a coincidence that this is an image I have on a Wednesday, and on a Friday, that's the card that I pull.
Well, you're curious about it. You wanted to find out,
Right.
it kind of goes that way because if you're curious, it gives you a different perspective, though. Not only with dragons, but anything that I've been connecting with or reading and having to understand how another being is functioning or perceiving their reality. It broadens my um, experience and awareness because then I'll get to know how somebody else will experience something that I haven't thought about, without actually, switching back and forth.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But fairy realm too. I had a um, year or two ago. I met this person that was connecting with fairies and elementals and things like that, and
Yep.
she was channeling light language, and we
I'm
got to
listening
talk.
and channeling dragon light language. Yes.
I know it's different though. I was gonna go there with in a little bit, but she was like, "Let's switch activations. Like I'll activate you if you want to, so you can connect with them with light language, and you can do the same." And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't like really like at that moment vibing with it, and now I'm kind of like,
Maybe.
next time I have a
Oh,
um, experience like that, I'll go for it.
Go
You
for it.
know,
Go for it. So I was talking with a
I
woman
just
who
got
is a
to
channeler.
watch a whole bunch of Berkeley students who are graduating walk by an
Oh,
assembly of musicians. See, that's
oh.
the cool thing about being in Boston. There's never a dull moment in this city.
There's never a dull moment. There's never a dull moment. I was talking to this woman who's a channeler about the dragon light language and how it sounds so familiar and it moves me, right? It feels like home. And I
hmm
said, it sounds like, a rabbi when he's doing his incantations. It sounds like that. It sounds a little bit like an American medicine man, his chanting, and so she said, I just got a message that the dragons taught the rabbis, the medicine man, and the Arabians how to sing. So it is their language. So it is not the words, it's the vibration and the
right,
intonation
right,
that is resonating. The words don't really matter as much as the cadence matters.
right.
Yeah. I also like
So cool.
this is just like just the confirmation, it just blows my mind, right? It just and no, it doesn't blow my mind. It's just a beautiful thing. And I have ignored the dragon experience for years, for years. And the
Huh.
second that I said, okay, okay, and I did not plan this, by the way. Talk about flow, right? So got invited to do this weekly meeting, and I'm like, oh, well, what? I know what. I think I'll do the first meeting with dragon cards. I have these dragon cards. I've not done the dragon cards. Let me just.
See where it
And,
goes.
and it's
Yeah.
been ever a second that I did it. It's like the dragon said, "Well, it's about time you woke up. I've been here waiting for you." Right?
I mean, and that's the other thing. Nobody's gonna force you against your free will.
Yeah.
Like higher dimensional beings, they understand the law of one, and they don't go against your free will. They're
Right.
not gonna say, "Oh, this could be so much amazing for you," because they don't know. It's your choice. You
Right.
know,
Right.
what it's amazing to one could be something else to somebody else.
Be scary and overwhelming
Right.
to someone else. And I think I had to be free enough of my ego to be open to ridiculous possibilities,
That's
right?
it.
And free enough of my ego to talk about it. And since then, I have met so many people who have met their dragons.
I know somebody else that I follow that do dragons. In and I don't know. Like sometimes when I meditate and I'm quiet, I connect to different things and I become the instrument and I channel. It could be like dragons, could be something else or
Hmm.
whatever. I had instances, well, they'll ask me because it goes both ways. Like practice, we're doing it with the practice, you're getting the experience to learn how to sync with those energies or how to tune to those energies, how to, you know, um, be in the moment free of like allowing it to happen and to channel through you. So, it takes practice to get comfortable and be able to familiarize yourself with different energies. And the one experience I had was with somebody else that they wanted to have their side of the experience to connect with a human. And they say, hey, we have somebody here. Would it be okay if he tries to like channel with you and see how that energy is different and how the communication happens? And I was like, totally. And it's different. So
Yeah.
it goes both ways. It doesn't go only like,
Yeah,
oh,
they're
we're
curious.
learning. They're
They're
learning
curious.
too. We're
Yes.
they're curious. We're changing, exchanging experiences, and that was one of those moments I was talking about where you have that perspective and you go like, huh. So it's not only us. Like everybody, does whatever their part is to do, and having
Sometimes I see my dragon like coming up behind my back and sticking his head over here because he's curious as to what we're doing. Like, so who are you talking to right now? Right? Right? So you'll see me every once in a while, like lean back, and I can feel, it's me feeling the dragon like rubbing up against me.
Sure,
It's
sure.
nuts. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. We are multidimensional beings. We are energetic beings, and there are frequencies we are not aware of in the third dimension. And when we allow ourselves to get into flow, when we allow ourselves to trust that that feeling, that vibration, and that joy, because when you're in flow, you're in joy. It's just joy. Um,
Different
strange things.
levels of joy. Yeah, different
Yeah,
levels of joy because energy is different.
yeah.
It's almost like personality. Every energy has its own personality. Almost
Y-
like you meet somebody and you know that person by interacting, and it's kind of the same. You interact with the same energy, and it becomes familiar, and you go like, "Oh, I know who that is."
Yes, I know you. I know
Yeah,
you. Where have
exactly.
you been? Where have you been? Right? And so it's experiencing and learning truly what we are. So these third dimensional identities that we talked about, that we create for ourselves, the stories that we create in order to identify and interact in the world,
Hmm.
and then we own them, is ridiculous. Like,
It
I am
is
not a project manager. What's that look like? I am not, whatever the various titles and positions I have no certifications listed on any of social media sites. Why? Because who gives a crap? What does that
it,
mean about who I am when I show up for you?
you don't have to limit yourself to something
Yeah,
just it just takes mindfulness for a little bit because if you go through your experience through the day you're gonna find out that you're playing different roles. Like
always.
right now we're live streamers or whatever, and then you go in the kitchen and you're a cook, you cook food, then you take the trash out, then you're the cleaner guy or whatever.
Right.
You drive in your car. Now you
You're the
identify I'm the
chauffeur?
driver of the car. Yeah.
Right.
And then you connect with somebody or you're presenting. Oh, now I'm the presenter or whatever you're doing. And you keep changing the roles.
Right.
And the less you identify with the role that you're doing, the more freedom you have because you're not like, I can only do this and this is
Right.
it. That's my jam,
Right, you open up
because right.
your reticular activation system. So if you want to get scientific and physical, that is what you're doing, right? Your reticular activation system is the part of your brain that actually determines what you bring in,
That's right.
right? And you only bring in, shall I go there? I'll go there. There are 3 billion bits of information around you at any moment in time. Your brain brings in, your conscious brain, 750 bits. That's it. That's what your reticular activation system brings in, only 750 bits. So
It can't
it's delete,
comprehend all
right?
that information.
It
Yeah,
cannot. It
yeah.
deletes, distorts, generalizes, um, all of that data, and then you attach your emotions, your attitude, your biases, and all that. So you make up your story. In any case, you want to open that up. So maybe you bring in 800 bits. The second that you start to open that up, there are things that are waiting for you that you're not even aware of that you can go, oh, look at that. If I move left just a little bit, I'm going to get that opportunity I've been looking at. Holy
Hmm.
crap. All I have to do is move left. Okay. Phew, right? And that's being in flow, allowing yourself to be aware. And then you do take action, but it's aligned to action. It feels right. It's aligned with your higher good, right? It's aligned with what resonates for you, like a tuning fork. We're all different tuning forks.
Well, that's why you have to make decisions a couple of times and see what resonates, because you
Hmm.
won't even know like what's resonating. The
Right.
more you try this and that, and you find out, okay, this isn't it. I thought it is, but it's not it. And you get closer and closer to your goal, to finding out what's really resonating with you. Kind of like the
And
example I was giving. At that time I wasn't really sure, but now that I have all those other experiences, I'm like, yeah, I should have done
well,
it. Yeah, I know. I'll have another opportunity. And that was the other thing I was gonna bring out. Lately, so much that I'm connecting. I'm connecting one day with this, and the other day with something else, and even like if I watch other people channel or do other things, I connect with whoever they're connecting. It's nuts. You feel
well,
that energy
the
right
quantum
away. Yeah,
entanglement there's a whole other conversation I had a couple of weeks
I
ago with a
know.
friend is becoming stronger,
Yeah,
right? And maybe it's becoming more evident. I'm hearing evident, not stronger. It's always been there, but we're becoming aware of it.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
kind of
so,
like
go
kind of
ahead.
like remembering. You're not learning new things. They're always been there. You always knew about it, but you force yourself to forget because you move away from it so much that you forget.
Right? This whole experience, this whole human experience is to remember. Well, part of it is to remember, part of it is to connect. So, and this is my belief. You can have a different belief, and that's fine because this is the story that I made up about my life.
Sure.
Okay, so my life is here to experience emotion. That's why I emote. I'm here to experience emotion and create vibrational frequencies that the universe, past the third dimension, cannot create. Fourth dimension, fifth dimension, they cannot create anger, sadness, fear, shame, guilt. They cannot create those emotions. So we're here to experience them so that we can
Right.
create them in order to create the vibration of them in order to expand the universe. We're
Hmm.
not here to own it or identify with it or
Mm.
to write a story around it, right?
Yep.
We're here to experience it and then move on to the next experience so that we can have another vibration, right? So I believe that's our purpose. Our major purpose is to expand the universe, right? My role, which is different than my purpose, my role is to help mankind elevate so that in the expansion of the universe, we are aware of what we're doing and not blind to what we're doing. So I'm
Yeah.
aware
Now.
of what I'm doing and I can communicate and I can get
Mm.
direction and I can communicate. So does that mean I won't feel? No, I'm here to feel. Shit's going to continue to happen.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That's how it started at the beginning. Even if you try not to do things, you're gonna be moved because you're part of the wave. Like the
I'm
drop,
here.
it's part of the water, and if the water moves in a wave, then you move with the wave because you're part of it.
Right.
So
Right.
your only purpose is to be.
Is to be. Is to be.
It's to be.
I use the example of I'm in a kayak and I'm going down the river, and sometimes the river is rough, and sometimes. But if I hang on to a rock, if I hang on too long, I can hang on to kind of balance myself a little bit, but I got to let go
Yeah.
because if I hang on, the river's going to take my kayak away, and I'm going to be stuck to that rock and not able to go down the river. And I'm going to have to look for a way to do it without my kayak.
Or maybe wait for another kayak
Or
to
wait for another
manifest.
guy or wait for right?
there is so many opportunities.
Yes, yes, yes. But that's how I look at it. Like I might grab a rock. I might say, hang on to a moment,
Uh-huh.
hang on to a story, right?
Uh-huh.
For a moment, because I'm still third dimensional. I still have ego, and I'm going to go, is that ego or is that source? That's ego. Okay, so if that's ego, what's the story that I want to let go of? Yep, you're just a story. That's not true. I can let you go. Now, what am I feeling? Right. So I can go through that process. When I'm not aware, I don't go through that process. I hang on to the damn rock. And we don't want to do that. We want to go with the
Yeah,
flow.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're past the hour and we're going to have to wrap this up, but this is so amazing. I feel like we should do something more on this topic in just vibe and talk about it in bring out more channeling and other experiences or what have you. So I'm glad you were able to join us today.
Yeah, I'll take you to
Kerri,
the outer limit every time.
Kerri left us, but
Mhm.
with that, do you want to pass any wisdom to our listening audience or our viewers before we wrap it up?
Yeah. I would say don't be afraid to look at yourself in the mirror and love who you are because you are special. You're here for a very special reason, and your presence is necessary. So let go of the fear and come join us. I'll send a dragon to you if you want.
I love that. It's so good. All right, everyone. It was an amazing episode. Thanks for sticking around with us. As usual, we'll put Gail's contact information in the description below. If anybody has any comments or it wants to reach out to Gail Kraft, feel free to do so. Same with me and Kerri. Send us your feedback. Let us know what you think about, what you want to vibe with, talk about, or whatever. And with that, I wish you a wonderful rest of the week and have a amazing weekend. Until
Bye.
next time.
Bye.